Hello. Okay, so let me just check a couple settings here and see what's happening. I've got audio, I have the logo on there, I've got all kinds of cool stuff. I'm just checking how it looks on the phone here, making sure it's good to go. And I think it is. I'm very excited to be here the first time and see what happens for everybody. Let's see. Is it going? Oh, come on. I can't tell if it's actually happening. Hang on a sec. We do. We have a video. Yay! We're checking one other spot. This is the first time I'm doing it this way, so I want to make sure I've got all the bases covered and see what it looks like. Make sure it's actually... There we are. Yay! Okay, so make sure what's happening, how it works. There's just a little delay, and so I'm no longer freaked out, and we're going to be good. All right. Very cool. All right. So, just so you know, I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino, certified professional organizer and simplicity expert, and I do this once a month. I get online somewhere. I've been using Google Plus, but thought I'd try Facebook Live since Google Plus is going away, or the Hangouts, and wanted to just give a chance for people to ask questions and get some answers to their organizing and simplifying concerns. And I also work in the realm of productivity, so I'm happy to answer those things as well. I did have some questions come in from the people that subscribe to my newsletter, which you can find at morethanorganized.net. There's a link there to go sign up for that if you want to be in the loop and informed. There's also a couple different free offers on there if you'd like. But I thought I would start with the first question I got through the emails and see what that's about. I haven't read these ahead of time. I just clipped them into my Evernote. So we'll see what happens when I figure them out. So Rebecca asks, I wanted to know, how do you organize your day? I find I have a lot of thoughts racing in my head about what I want to do. Just feel like I don't know how to accomplish goals anymore. Ever since I got thyroid problems, I feel this way. Okay, so I'm not really sure what all the thyroid has to do with it, except it's a hormonal adjuster, and so sometimes there's situational ADD and focus issues when you have medical issues. So make sure you take care of the medical issues too, and give yourself a little bit of a break while you figure out those adjustments. The goals, though, and accomplishing the things on your list every day is really more to do with knowing what you actually want. What are you trying to accomplish out of life? What are you trying to get to every day, and why? Why are you doing the things you do? What is it you want? What are your big picture wants, your vision for how things can be in your life every day? Do you want to provide a loving, nurturing home environment that your family can grow up healthy and curious? Do you want to start a business and make six figures and help people do blank, like me? I help people gain control of their time, stuff, and space. It's very important to me to help people learn how to do that because I watch people being distracted and encumbered by all their stuff, and life doesn't have to be that hard. So think through why you're doing things and what you're doing and what all the things in your life actually serve. What purpose do they serve? Why do you have all those things? The more you are aware of what you really want and what you're trying to accomplish and why, the easier it is to maintain things and be motivated about getting them done. And it sometimes takes a while to figure that out. So start slow, figure out a few things. Also, realize there's only 24 hours in a day. No one can get 87 things done in a day. If you create routines for your basic everyday tasks like the dishes, the laundry, brushing your teeth, getting yourself ready, making lunches for the kids, doing your bookkeeping, reaching out to clients, doing your actual client work, your writing, whatever it is you need to do. And then you add in 2 to 3 extras on top of the routines, projects or special things you want to get to. You're ahead of the game. 3 max. There's these little Post-its, this size Post-it, and they only hold so much information. So if you use one of these and just write the 3 extra things on that, and you have a good handle on your routines and they are becoming habits because you do them regularly, you should get a lot more done. The problem is when you try to wing it every single day, and really having those routines, or Chris Brogan calls them action stacks. There's those things that you do regularly and repeatedly every day, once a week, once a month, quarterly, a couple times a year, whatever it is, whatever that action stack is. When you get in the habit of doing those, you don't have to think about it as much anymore. So then the 3 extra things are more important, move things forward. Nice project work can happen then, and you will have plenty of time to do that. Okay, second question. Ooh, this is fun. This is from my cousin Heather. Heather wanted to know what I do to store bags, how to keep bags that pile up around the house. So I waited so I could do this on video for her. Hope you're watching, Heather. Plastic bags get kept in a old tissue box. I've had this one for about 15 years, and it holds about 36 bags when you smash them up, and then you can just pull them out one at a time and use them as you want. Now, this then tucks nicely and neatly under the kitchen sink or under the bathroom sink, depending on where you use your bags, by the front door if you take them for dog walking. The second way I keep bags is the paper bags. I just use a handled shopping bag. This one happens to be Crate and Barrel. Crate and Barrel, shout out, used to work there. I think I've had this since I worked there as well. But what I do is I fold the bags and just stack them inside. So now this can stay upright and be holding the bags that you then just pull out, or it can go on a shelf like sideways like this, which is how I usually do mine, and then it's on the shelf and you can pull out the bag when you need it. It's very loud, this bag. Or you can lay it flat this way. There's a variety of ways you can do it, but it helps keep all your bags very nice and neat in a very small amount of room. All right, there you go, Heather. How to keep your bags. Thanks for the question. Can't wait to hear what you think about it. All right, now the next question is from my regular contributor, Marcia. Always has great questions for me. She's been a client for a while, off and on for many years, and always moving things forward. So I love that about Marcia. She says, oh, she also does this background setup and the actual question. So I like that. So the background is, I'm sitting here working on my taxes, the proverbial extension that is now into crunch time, as it's September and we're going into October. It might be because of my hatred for the IRS and the government, so stupid and incompetent that I can't manage a budget, or it can't manage a budget or keep it spending within its means and no more than it collects. It all angers me so when I have worked so hard for my money and I never spend more than I take in. Don't like giving it to people who think nothing of wasting it, and they are very good at that. That's Marcia's opinion. I don't agree. Anyway, the rest of the background. Just when I thought I had all the tax papers in one place, I discover several more. So here I sit, entering the final data in order to get it off to my tax attorney in another state. I have my own self-designed spreadsheet that I use. Once all that data gets entered, I'm on my way to filing the worksheet package my tax man wants me to send to him. Well, I will be mailing it off on Monday. It's still cutting it close since it often takes a week to get to Virginia, even with priority mail. Then the tax attorney has to do his part. It gets checked by others in his office, and then the completed tax package is mailed back to me. I review it, sign it, and off to the post office goes. If you're wondering, I do not qualify for electronic filing. Huh. I didn't know there were still some classes that couldn't do that. Let's see. The issue is this having to extend. Is it procrastination? It happens annually for me. And in September, I am burning daylight to finish it all, even though I had 3/4 of the 215 data already entered into the database spreadsheet. So what has happened? Notwithstanding the hatred for the IRS, as soon as I am done with the 2015 package, I'm starting on the 2016. That's a very good idea. You should go ahead and keep up. So the questions are actually, how do I prevent this from happening again? It causes angst of the highest order. Cleaning toilets would be more stress-free. What is the best way to organize one's tax documentation? And what is the best way to prepare for documenting all that is required by the IRS? So as to get the package done and off to the IRS by April 1st. In my case, I have to allow 3 weeks for my mail. Okay, so first thing, in that case, you don't need to do it by April 1st. You need to do it by, say, March 1st. So you have that time, Marcia. So what I like to have people do when they have to do it manually is a couple different things. But number one is you need to have a system for processing your receipts and statements on a regular basis so you're getting them updated. And the best way to do that is to have a routine to enter it into your spreadsheet or QuickBooks or whatever it is you use. So QuickBooks can be helpful even if you can't file electronically. It can organize this stuff, but I understand I only switched over a couple years ago. So I know how nice it is to understand your own spreadsheet. So whichever way you want to go, but just start with some sort of routine where you're actually entering the data at least once a month, if not once a week, so that you can stay on top of things and know when things are a problem. Now, the second way to keep really organized is to know that your filing system, if you can't do it all electronically, is that you need to set your filing system up the way you're going to use the information in the long run, which for you is this complicated tax situation. So you want to know what the schedules are that you have to create the numbers for, and create a file folder for each of those categories. So when you file your receipts, you're filing into the categories, not necessarily into that account. To explain a little farther, I actually, good thing I'm doing this at my desk. I actually have my old tax setup. Well, I still kind of use it because I'm kind of half electronic, half not. So what I did was I set up a hanging box bottom folder and I put a bunch of these folders in it. I'm waiting to make sure you can see. So they are called file jackets, and they have a side that is closed on both ends. And so it's really great to drop things in. Let me find one that actually has a receipt or two in it. See? The little ones tucked nicely in here. And then you have these by category. So this is my meals and entertainment bin. And so every time I enter it into my spreadsheet or QuickBooks, the actual receipt then goes in here. So when you're ready for tax season, you just pull your receipt folders for the year and you use them to match up to your spreadsheet. So the best way to do that is you have the category already in existence based on this year's taxes. So when you get your 2015 back, check those out. What were the categories you had to come up with different numbers for? And create a folder with these sides in it for that. Now, if it's something that's a lot of heavy-duty statements, like financial statements and things that you need as well, you can also go with just a wider version. These are gusseted ones, and they come in several different widths that you can use. Also can tuck things in there. But I find the jackets work great for the taxes. So you want to have them in the category, and then you pull the receipts out of the category. You put them in chronological order. You can use that to double check your numbers and or staple or clip them together so that they're in a neat bundle for the tax person and they're already in chronological order. And you're just chronologicaling. Most of the time you can do it by just filing always in the back or in the front, and that'll save you time. But sometimes with the little receipts, they get slippery and they slide around. So that's why you might want to double check. And then you can put all of those into one of the fat gusseted folders, and that can be all of your paperwork for the year. I use 2 of those fat gusseted per year, one for my personal and one for my business. and I have a spot for each of those in my bottom file drawer, and it goes in a rotation. So I just pull the first one out and put one in the back and rotate them out, 7 years worth. And I say 7 years because the way the law is actually written, and I'm not a tax attorney, so you might want to double check, but the way the law is written is you need to keep your tax documentation, the supporting documentation, whether electronic or hard copy, for 1 year longer than your state requires. However, most of my clients move to New Mexico for at least part of the time, or have properties in other states, or ran a business in another state. And so anytime you move states, you have to then know what the state is. So 7 years is actually the number most often given because that is the longest amount of time anyone needs to save their documentation for. Okay, does that make sense? That way you don't have to think about it or determine if your current states qualify for which amount. Just 7 years, you can create the space and that rotation system, pop the new one in the back, pull the oldest one out off the front, and you're good to go all the time. Now, the returns themselves you need to keep forever. Whether electronic or hard copy, you actually need to keep them forever, just in case. I find it best to keep all government-related paperwork just in case. You never know when a big flood is going to go through the VA records office in the middle of the country and take out most people's VA records. You just don't know those kinds of things. So take it upon yourself to have those handy. All right, let's see if I'm getting any questions here. Anyone have questions? Oh, all right. Marcia's having some problems watching, so hopefully she can see it more clearly on the playback. Is anyone else here? Is that all the questions I have today? I guess I could find another question from my question file, because I keep one of those every time someone sends me a question, or some of the older ones that I haven't answered on video before. And where is it? I can't see from here. See, this is what happens when you have an organized office. You know where it is, but then you can't actually see it. All right. So those were those 3 questions that came in ahead of time. So now we're going to do one. Let's see. What does this one say? This says, so here's one that goes nicely with the question that Rebecca asked earlier. So I can't get everything done now. How can I possibly add anything to my list? Or is the way to get one more thing done? Like I said, you can't add more things to your list. What you can do is get more efficient and effective at doing the routine tasks. So set them up. Let's talk about, like for instance, we just talked about the taxes. What if you got in a routine of every day you got home and you took your receipts out of your wallet? And you moved your receipts to a place on your desk where you knew you would grab your receipts to enter into your QuickBooks once a week. For me, I tuck them into the checkbook that lives in my bill paying basket. So the receipts go from my wallet every day and get tucked right here into my, oh, look at me showing everybody my numbers, gets tucked right in here to the front. And then when I go to process my bills once a week, or my money twice a month, actually, because I use Profit First, I have them right here to enter in my QuickBooks and run my numbers real fast. So that's the first step. That's part of a routine. Every day, do that when you get home. As part of your, as you're kicking off your shoes, you're also removing the receipts from your purse and the lunches out of your kids' backpacks. That kind of thing, so that it's all happening kind of at the same time. Then the next part of the routine is to put that time you're going to use to do your books and enter the numbers into your spreadsheets or software on a regular basis, on a repeating basis in your calendar with an alarm or something, so you get used to doing it. And block out, at first, sometimes it takes an hour or so every week to catch up, but then within about 3 or 4 weeks, it's only going to take 15-20 minutes to do all the stuff you need to do for your bookkeeping. And as you enter them, you then put them into your files. So then you know, right? They go right into these. See, 1 per category that I take a tax deduction on. So then you have a routine for dealing with your money. And that's the way you can start getting more things done. Instead of having to take an entire weekend and spread the stuff out all over the living room floor and make sure it's categorized and then make sure it's that, you just do it all at once. Or, you do it regularly, not all at once. That's backwards. All right, so we do that. And then, oh, look, another question that tackles or that goes right with the other question. How do I decide what goal to tackle next? There's a variety of ways to do that. I actually use a combination. I do kind of yearly planning and then quarterly planning within that to see what's changed during the year, what else I learned, what's changed. Especially now that I run my business more online, often I will plan on doing something, and by the time I get around to doing it on my list, that technology is already outdated. Can you say Periscope, anyone? So what I really like to do is know what I need to do to move myself forward, and then pick those things to add into the 3 extra things I'm going to do today, which means you're actually doing about 15 extra things a week that you weren't doing before. So you're going to move things forward more quickly than you think. But really, you want to tie your goal into your big picture wants. Is the thing you're trying to do going to get you more of what you're looking for? For me, I strive to maintain my curiosity and to create freedom for myself and a simple life. And so those are the overriding wants that everything has to fit in. If it's going to make my life more complicated, I say no, or I find a way to simplify it. If it's going to cause a lot of rescheduling and restructuring, it's probably not the right time for me to do it. And that's how I know what to do. So on top of that, I also go with my feelings for the day. So for instance, today, I was feeling a little under the weather when I woke up this morning. We've been having lots of rain and pressure changes, and it tends to give me some headaches and some sinus issues. And so I just took it easy today. I still got a lot done, but I didn't go overboard trying to get 100 things done today. I never do 100 things, but I often do 5 or 6 things, but I start with the 3, and then when I finish those, I add more on top of the routines. It's layering your schedule. So I talk a lot more about picking your goals and setting your schedule and creating routines in the Streamline Time solution, which is available at morethanorganized.net. It's my online course. It's great. It's got a little audio and a workbook. You can work at your own pace, and then you can ask me questions right here on the Facebook page, and I'm happy to answer them. I'll be doing this once a month, usually the second Thursday, and unless there's a weird conflict, I do it the second Thursday around the late afternoon hour. So sometime between 4 and 6 my time, which I'm in the Mountain Time Zone, so it might be different for you. So keep an eye on that. All right, so those are the questions from that page. Look, I still have 10 minutes. Is no one joining me live? Do we have any questions that have come in? Interesting. I wonder why. I guess nobody really likes me. Just kidding. It's new. We're just getting the hang of these things. All right. No more live questions. If you have one, put it in the comment box, and I'm happy to answer it. All right, here's a great question that's kind of along these things. It says, what is free time? What's free time? Free time to me is time that I don't have anything planned or something changes last minute, and so I end up with this little cushion of a few minutes or an hour or sometimes 3. Like for me, if a client reschedules, like what happened this morning, I had a client who was in a car accident yesterday and just wanted to take a break today to deal with that. And so I didn't have a client this morning, and I got to chill because I had a headache, and I got to watch a couple TV shows, and I read a few longer form articles that I had been putting off. So that to me is free time. Stuff that you thought was planned, and either you finish what you were doing quicker than you anticipated, or something changes that now you have a spot where you can do what you want. You can do something fun, or you can move a more important project forward. You can get ahead on something. You can just sit and breathe. I often, if I have a quick free time, like I arrive somewhere 10 minutes early, I just breathe. I do a little looking at the clouds, watching the wind blow, watching the cars drive by, whatever it is. I just give myself a little bit of space. Space can really help clarity. It can help you find out what you really want. It helps you gain perspective. Um, and it gives insight into yourself. I recently read a study, though. This is really interesting. It turns out most people would rather electrocute themselves than have free time, have that time to breathe and think about themselves. I can't believe it, but I guess they did a study, and they kind of the people conducting the study told people they were going to be doing this electronic thing, and not to use it while they stepped out of the room to set something up, and they would be right back to set up to start the test. And people got so bored in the 5 minutes that the people would walk out, they would start electrocuting themselves sitting at the table. I find that amazingly weird and so human that we don't want to look at ourselves. So practice a few minutes at a time when you get free time. And if that's really, really scary for you, go ahead and tackle some of those chores on your list you've been putting off. Go ahead and scrape the tape off the drawer. Go ahead and pull the stickers off the kid's door. Go ahead and wipe down that corner of the counter that you never get to. Go ahead and file the extra receipts. That's what you can do with free time. It's the little extra catching up or getting ahead time if you aren't comfortable looking at clouds and thinking about things. All right. So that's what free time is to me. Sometimes it can be, shared. That's an option too. All right. Next question is, how do I get my coworkers or family on board with my organizing efforts? Well, you tell them what you would like to do. You tell them why you would like to do it. You give them a connection to the big picture want for the family, perhaps. And you say you're going to do it with or without them. And you start with your stuff, and then you move into the shared areas of the house or the workspace. And then hopefully they get on board and also do their private spaces. But you cannot actually change someone else or make them want to change. I have found, however, if you meticulously and methodically go through the space and clear the clutter and start setting up the routines and share those routines and the new setup with the rest of your family or coworkers as you go, they get on board within a short amount of time, just a couple weeks usually. They are hesitant to change, but then they start seeing the results of the change, like you're happier, or they can find their socks, or they know where the staples are. Those kinds of things make it easier for them to then do it because they see the results, not because you're nagging and saying everybody has to do it. So you want to do it sweetly and with consistent care, and looping them into what is happening and why you're doing it and what you hope is going to be the result. And then they see it and they get on board. All right. I hope this was good. This is a lot of questions. I think we covered a lot of ground today, and I like this format. Hopefully in the future we'll get more people to join us live. I think it's kind of a building thing. We're going to practice for a while. As of right now, I'm going to continue once a month till the end of the year, and then I'm going to reevaluate and maybe do it weekly, maybe for a slightly shorter amount of time. If I go weekly, I might just do it for 15 minutes. But let me know, give me your feedback, what you would like to see as a result of these Q&A sessions online on the Facebook page, More Than Organized. And don't forget, you can get those free resources over at morethanorganized.net. See you next month. Thanks for joining me. Bye.